podcast world. This is Socrates the Great with my brother and co-host, Dr. Pedro Beer. And like always, in the sound, the Inca warrior, Boris the Great. Boris, what's going on, my brother?
I don't have a mic, but yeah.
And what is this, man? Tell him what is this, man.
Welcome and cheers to another Beerfest Fridays.
Hey!
Beer and CrossFit. Fortunately and unfortunately, the name stuck. Dr. Pedro Beer. I mean, he gave it to me, man.
There you go, bro.
Yeah. And luckily we have Danny here with us. Danny Soul. Welcome.
Danny Soul, welcome,
Thank you,
my
bro.
brother.
I appreciate
Welcome.
it, man. Thanks for having me.
This is on Beerfest Friday, man, and you know, we were talking off the air before, that this is the time in which we try to give back to ourselves for working out the entire week.
Sometimes you love too much though. That's that balance you try to strike.
Exactly. So this is like the
I
time.
do it with food.
Oh yeah.
Not so much with beer.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
But you know, we welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know, thank you for being here with us. And as we learn more from you, you know, and I actually ask people about you, and you know, it impresses me, you know, that your whole I guess trajectory to now. Okay, and I'll bring it up later.
For sure.
But I know you're a trainer.
Yeah.
You're a motivator speaker in a sense, you know, because you motivate others to actually start CrossFit and do what they're supposed to. You're a trainer. So when it comes to CrossFit, you're like, you know, like an encyclopedia. and you know what? We're going to use it. We're going to use them, and we're going to ask you all kinds of questions.
I would prefer OG.
OG, I like that.
An encyclopedia
okay.
for sure.
Danny OG.
Yeah.
Danny OG Saul.
There you go.
Danny, in quote, OG. Saul. I like that.
Am I your first non-beer drinking Beerfest Friday?
Hey, great.
But
So
we
good.
make up, you know, what you lack on the beer department, we're going to make up a lot on the CrossFit side.
Yeah, for sure.
But speaking of which, I mean, I know you don't drink, which is cool.
Don't drink for you.
Go ahead, bro. Drink it all for me.
Nah, but it was. I thought for me, since I'm the one that brings some kind of different
With the
beer
weird
or
stuff.
whatever, yeah, I wouldn't say it's weird. It's just different beers.
He's
It's
a
more
beer
like-
connoisseur.
So I thought it was a good time to kind of come up with a day that's kind of like alternative to beer. So I brought some White Claw. I know that's pretty popular right now. Not my thing, but whatever. And then
Is that what this is in front of me? White
that's
Claw?
Yeah.
So that does have alcohol in it. This doesn't, which is basically a near beer.
I used to drink Heineken.
Yeah,
It didn't
so it's
look funny like that, but...
It's a 0% non-alcoholic beer.
What?
Oh,
So
word.
you're
Right.
welcome to it. I mean, I was in the military before, and we would have to drink that like if we were in like Afghanistan or something.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they don't have beer
Dry
there.
countries.
Yeah, it was dry.
Dry countries.
Nobody would drink it, but once in a while you'd see somebody sipping on it just to kind of try to reminisce, you know. So yeah, that's what I brought today. Partly, the last thing, I don't know if you like Game of Thrones, but this is the last. I think it'll be the last. It's called My Watch Has Ended. It's an Imperial Brown Ale.
Word.
So that's what we got today.
Cool, man.
Great.
I brought water.
I mean, this is probably
I'm a lot
like
of fun.
99% water. It has a flavor of beer, so.
All right. So we had a little talk, right, about the beers, but now we're gonna go into the CrossFit part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, and I know that's your thing. Yeah, that's
He's
Danny
a
OG.
CrossFit legend, bro.
That's right, my brother.
Oh,
OG.
legend, dude.
OG, my brother, get it together, OG.
He's a legend.
No, get it together, OG, bro. You just started with this CrossFit. You know, he just started CrossFit.
He told me outside. Yeah,
He
that's
did.
what's up.
He's doing well. He I had him do a little imam, you know, 30 minutes on the minute for 25 minutes. A couple of quick stuff, you know, no, not burp. It was sit-ups, we did push-ups, we did the rope, and we did the assault bike. So like, you know, to actually, you know, get them into
How long have you been doing CrossFit for now?
This is my third week,
Oh, word. Third week? Yeah, that's cool.
so I'm trying my best, bro.
Good for you, man.
These
Welcome.
guys over here,
no.
they've been pushing me to do it, and I'm doing it.
You fought it for a while, though. It was like, nah. But how do you like it so far?
Nah, it's not bad. It's good.
Cool.
I feel better.
Sweet.
I can breathe better now, too.
Anything you want to
That's
tell him, Danny, about, like, you know, to keep up?
Bro, just you have to be patient. and it takes a long time. And
I have a lot of patience.
Yeah. And like what we were talking about outside, especially if your goal is like weight loss, what you eat is probably the most important thing. Right. And like owning a local gym, I should advocate really hard for going to a gym, which is very important. However, I think what you eat is probably a bigger piece of the puzzle than even working out, to be honest with you. Because look, like how many hours a week do you spend in the gym? 4, 3 per week? What do you think?
No, per week it'll be what?
3.
Yeah, like 3 or 4.
3. How many classes do you take a week? 3?
3.
Yeah. All right, so 3 hours a week in a gym.
Right.
That's a whole lot of hours to either help what you're doing in the gym with what you're eating and how you're sleeping and how much water you're drinking, or you could really fuck it up in all that time that you're not in the gym.
Right.
You know, so like nutrition and sleep and kind of like healthy quote unquote behaviors, in my opinion, are a much larger piece of the puzzle than training for like basic and not to like put down your goals, but like for like weight loss goals. If you were like telling me you want to go to the fucking CrossFit Games, you know, I would say, okay, dude, you know, training's probably more important, but you know, yeah, I think that's just like my opinion on stuff, you know. Look, all my opinions and things that I talk about are like framed. It's like through the lens of CrossFit, but I've like developed my own positions and opinions on stuff, you know. So like when I speak on behalf of like myself and my crew and my gym, not on behalf of like quote unquote CrossFit.
Gotcha.
It's just your own experience.
Yeah.
Sure.
How many years have you been doing this, Danny?
I've been doing CrossFit for I think 12 years about. It's kind of, and the reason why I say I think is because like the way that we define CrossFit, look, you could do sprints and push-ups in your driveway.
Right.
And you now might call that CrossFit. But if you did it a couple years before CrossFit, like what were we really calling stuff like that, you know? So the first time I stepped foot into a CrossFit gym was in 2008. Yeah. However, prior to that, I was doing exactly what I said, like running hill sprints and doing power cleans and, you know, doing burpees in the park and going to LA Fitness and Bally's and like squatting and deadlifting and benching and stuff like that. So you know, fitness has been a big part of my life since about 2007.
The movement were there. It's like, you know, what he was saying, Danny, you know, it's interesting that you said that because that's one of the things I was doing in LA Fitness. That sometimes let's say you're doing bench press, and you have to wait until somebody else does it or whatever because they like, you know, they're jumping in, and you're like there like waiting.
So you're gonna do max reps or something. You know,
exactly,
you do push-ups.
Exactly.
You know?
So you know what? I was like doing push-ups while that person was, you know, doing their bench press, or I was doing like
quote unquote abs,
pull-ups, jumping jacks, something keeping myself like, you know,
warm
and that's, you know, like you said, you know, is actually you're doing kind of like a CrossFit movement.
A dude in LA Fitness would call that like supersets. But, you know, you do it in a warehouse on Kendall 137 and it's called fucking CrossFit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So.
What made you go into it? I mean, like into the whole thing of
to expand
CrossFit.
on that. I mean, just your own CrossFit story or whatever background, you know.
What made you go into
it? I know, you know, a little bit about you, you know, through these guys. You up a little bit, but. Yeah, man. You know, whatever you want, as far as kind of your background story, your fitness story, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like a deep story because there's like things that happened in my life previous that led me to like making fitness a huge part of my life. But my whole formative like teenage years and just after, I used a lot of drugs and alcohol. A ton, and that's part of the reason why I don't drink today.
Got it.
Yeah, and I got sober in 2006.
Congrats, man.
Thank you. And when I got sober in 2006, fitness was just like a natural part of getting clean with the homies that I got clean with. The homies that I got clean with were like going to the gym and making athletics and fitness a very big part of their like recovery story. Okay. So I just kind of assimilated into the group that was fucking doing well. They were like young kids my age at the time who all had like a year or two clean.
How old were you then? I
got clean when I was 21. Yeah, so in 2006 I was 21 and that's the last time that I got high, period. Yeah. So again, these people were like fucking watching basketball and watching football and that was very foreign to me. I grew up skateboarding, playing punk rock music and hardcore music and going to shows and doing graffiti and fucking getting arrested and getting in trouble. All like that's my basic story in a nutshell.
Kendall?
In Kendall.
Wow.
Yeah, in Kendall. That was like my whole life. I got fucking Kendall tattooed all over me. I got the Orange Bowl there. I got Sawaseda here. I got.
That's what's up, man.
Where's the Killian exit? Right there.
Oh.
874. That's my shit. You know? So yeah, that's my hood. That's how I grew up. And so again, when I was getting clean, I was meeting young people who were positive and still homies and doing positive things for themselves. Yeah, and you know, previous to that, when I tried to get clean, or like when I got arrested and sent to drug treatment, or I was on probation, I always like equated being clean and sober, honestly, to being a fucking nerd. And that's like what kept me away from being clean. And I lived a very destructive lifestyle, and that's what I wanted to keep doing. Right. But I finally met people that I felt like were still doing cool shit. Yeah. They were still painting. They were still going to shows. They were still skateboarding.
But not doing all that bullshit.
Yeah. And really, like, I was so oblivious to all that shit that I didn't think that it was real. Almost.
It was possible, right?
Yeah, I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah, it's just like this bubble that you can put yourself in, and when you see that.
Because the thing is, like, you know, like in high school, they think the nerds are not cool.
Yeah.
Just because they're nerd, man. You know?
Honestly, it was like on some nerd shit, but it was also like on some jock shit. Like, that's a reason why fitness was never a part. I was not a high school athlete. I played sports in like elementary school and at the beginning of middle school, and then started smoking trees in 6th grade. And then before you know it, I was taking pills and eating ecstasy, putting shit in my nose. And it got all the way to me shooting dope, like $200 habit a day.
Wow.
Yeah, I went way too far on that, and very quickly. Yeah. So, yeah, like being around positive people was just not like, those were just not the people I was fucking with. That was like not a part of my crew and what my experience was. So when I went to this treatment center, I got clean and like I went in with a chip on my shoulder and a bad attitude, and I really did not want to be there. However, there were like homies, people I knew from the streets who I met in some of those meetings that had like a year clean. And I was like, yo, what are you doing here? And they're like, yeah, you know, it's not that bad. I got a job now. I got a chick now. I got a whip now. I got all these things. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's cool. How did you do that? Well, I got clean and I got a sponsor and I went to the gym and I started, you know, going to meetings and then going out to dinner at night with those homies. And I was like, oh, word. And I kind of just like copied what I was seeing, like the success stories that were tangible for me that I could like see and touch. I just did everything those people did. You know, and fitness was a big part of that for not everybody, but for many of those people. And, you know, the way that some of those people were training was very CrossFit-esque. And few years, or about a year or two later, I was working in a drug treatment center. I was now working in a rehab center.
Helping others.
Yeah. And one of my homies just teamed up with someone who was opening a CrossFit gym. And he would like send me CrossFit.com workouts way back in the day before there were gyms everywhere. Again, this is like in 2008. And I would watch workouts from the main site and be like, oh, that's kind of cool. Ah, that's kind of whack. Oh, that's kind of cool. Those pull-ups look fucking weird. Oh, you know, like, oh, that thruster thing. Oh, with a barbell,
like
that looks cool.
Like, okay.
Yeah, like,
no,
I'm not going to run. I'm going to skip this. I'm going to do this. So I like would get inspired by CrossFit.com workouts.
With the picture that they would put on the front.
Yes, the workout of the day, the very first website with all the blogs on the left-hand side. That website has now changed, I think, 4 times. Yeah. But that was like the OG CrossFit website with all the affiliates on the bottom left side and the military affiliates as well and all that stuff. And I didn't even really know CrossFit gyms existed. It was just like a website that put workouts out every day. Yeah. And I would go on that website and I would like do like my bench press and my deadlift and my squats. And then for my quote unquote cardio, I'd do one of their CrossFit workouts.
Got it.
You know, and then at the beginning of 2009, the first CrossFit gym in Kendall opened, and it was called CrossFit Kingdom. And it opened across the street from Miami-Dade in 2000. It's either in 2008 or 2009, and I was literally the first client of that guy's gym.
Wow.
Yeah, and within a few months, my ex-wife and I honestly were running that whole gym. And it was not due to the fact that we knew something or we were good trainers or we were educated in fitness at all. It was just due to the fact that the guy running it was, honestly, I hate to say it, he was just kind of a mess. Like the gym was, at that time in that guy's life, it was very chaotic.
Too much shit.
Yeah, so I would show up and no one would be there. And I'd call homie and he'd be like, oh shit. Can you warm them up for me? I'm like, yo, what the fuck are you? I don't even know what I'm doing, dog. And he's like, oh, my bad. Have them do some jumping jacks and run in a circle, and I'll be there in 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay. So
did he know kind of that it was such a big deal, or maybe that the foresight that CrossFit was going to blow up, or maybe he thought.
That man is definitely an OG in the South Florida CrossFit world, and anyone who's been doing CrossFit for 8 to 10 years or more absolutely knows who that is. I don't think any of those people at that time down here had the foresight to see how big CrossFit was really going to become. They all knew it was something special, for sure. But a lot of us in the early days of South Florida CrossFit, for sure, made some like business mistakes and made some decisions that were questionable. And like, that's how we all learned.
Right.
Dude, to become a CrossFit affiliate, to be totally honest with you, is very easy. And that's why in like the 2012 era, there were gyms opening up everywhere. Yeah. And a lot of those gyms have started to close because people have realized like, dog, it takes mad work. Right. It is not as simple as like, I like fitness. I'm going to put a bunch of rubber floors in a gym and spend $10,000 on rogue shit and people are going to show up. Like to run a successful CrossFit gym, in my opinion, it has to be the only thing that you do. And like, and there's no blueprint for that. You know, there is no, I've taken some business classes and I am educated in that world a little bit. But honestly, bro, I've learned through like making
errors
mistakes.
And trial. Errors and trial.
Seeing other people around me make mistakes and me making mad fucking mistakes and having an awesome
and
crew.
learning from those.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. You know, so that's kind of that whole thing evolved. So to answer your question, I don't think he or anyone from that era really thought it was going to be as big as it is now.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know?
And it's still growing. Like,
It is. There's definitely less gyms opening. But personally, I
is
think
it
that's
a good thing? Yeah, right.
I think so.
Right.
Dude, look.
Is it a good thing? Yeah, go ahead.
Like, CrossFit is not a franchise. CrossFit is a license, right? So, like, It's almost like, this sounds weird, but it's almost like the word coffee, right? Like, you can go to Starbucks to get coffee, or you can go to Panther to get coffee. And it all depends on like what kind of coffee you want for the day. Starbucks is a franchise, right? So like Starbucks everywhere, every time you go to Starbucks, it's going to look the same. It's going to feel the same. Right. It's going to have the same quality coffee, etc. CrossFit is not like Starbucks. CrossFit, you can get your different flavor everywhere you go. So like really, I think the best thing a CrossFit gym owner or a team could do is like brand themselves apart from other people and identify like what about CrossFit they're gonna do differently from everybody else.
So being unique in a sense,
yeah, bro.
Being unique, like for certain things that they do, within the, I guess the line of CrossFit, within the line the CrossFit.
I really need to step it up.
So wow, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned that not so many CrossFit are opening up.
Yes, there's there's definitely less that are opening up now, and a lot have closed. You know, again, it CrossFit has made it very easy to open a CrossFit gym. Look, here's what it takes to open a CrossFit gym.
Right.
You do your level 1 seminar. I think it costs $1,000.
Right, the licensing. Yeah, the licensing.
Well, no, that's just the level 1. The L1 CFL1 costs a G. It's 2 days long. You take a test after it, and if you pass your test, you then can apply for affiliation. To apply for affiliation, bro, you write like an essay, you answer a few questions, you pay like 3 Gs, and as long as you have insurance, you can open a gym anywhere. It's very easy, bro. And you don't have to have any equipment. They don't ask you for your equipment list. They don't ask you for your workouts. They don't ask you for your experience. Ni pinga, nothing.
I don't want to get you in the spot or anything like that because I'm learning so much. But and you being so open.
Yeah.
And you're
I'm
so
very
down
open,
to
bro.
earth. Yeah,
I'm so open sometimes that I fucking put my foot in my mouth. So
right, because you gotta be careful. Because I don't want to ask any kind of questions.
Bro,
and shit,
if you ask it, I'm gonna answer.
So you know what? I'm not even gonna answer. Go ahead, continue.
No, bro,
continue.
go.
No, continue.
So,
Continue. No, because of the fact that I don't want be like, because
bro, you
the
can
way
ask
it
me
is,
anything you want.
the way you're saying it,
Yeah.
to me,
I know it sounds a little negative.
No,
and
not
it's
negative.
It's
Not negative. It's like, so simple that it's like, whoa, bro.
It is simple.
It's like, coño, I'm going to get into gonna go to the bank, get a couple of G's, and I'm going to open my own shit.
Bro.
That's the way they set it up, though. They didn't franchise.
But it's like a lot of franchises,
yes.
like you said, that look the same. I'm sorry, there's not a franchise, but a lot of those businesses that have their surname, they say, look, if you want to open your own affiliate or your own place, you got to follow this and that.
Yes.
But it seems that like CrossFit is like so open that you say, you know what? I could open it. I got my license. I got this and that, and I could do whatever I want in here.
Yes.
Yeah. That's kind of the beauty of CrossFit in a sense, because it was open from the beginning, just like people were getting workouts off of the website for free. Yeah. And it was basically step by step on how to do everything.
I agree with the openness, but I also believe that you got to have some type of framework that everybody has to follow, so it could be uniform in a sense.
So look, Chet. Yes and no. So
right, okay.
You have to understand a little bit about like the founder of CrossFit, this guy Greg Glassman, who is a huge libertarian. Yeah. Oh, and okay. he's very big on like hands off my shit, and he does not tell his affiliates what to do. He does not put rules on people.
Got it.
And that was always, he's a big free market guy, and that was always his philosophy. He's like, here's the training methodology. This is what I'm going to give you. You're going to pay for this. You're going to pay for this weekend. You're going to pay for this education, and go and teach it and expand the brand and go and figure it out. And he did say back in the day, and my opinions on this matter have changed tremendously. Like if you would have caught me, I don't know, 6 years ago, I would have been talking a lot of shit about it. And I would say that it's hurting our brand because it's so easy to open a gym. People are getting hurt left and right. CrossFit's getting a really bad reputation. There's no quality control. You can open a gym, dog, literally right in front of me. Mm-hmm. And that did happen to me a few times, and it drove me crazy very early in my business. And I thought it was terrible. But Glassman in those days said, the cream will rise to the top, and the best gyms will be the ones that survive the bubble. Okay. And here I am 10 years later, and that's now my story. So I'm actually very grateful for the fact that so many gyms had opened, because here's what happens when a gym opens.
Go ahead.
If you open a gym, maybe you'll get like 65 heads in there, right? That's not big for South Florida CrossFit standards, but so on the low end, and you typically find gyms that are closing that had like 100 or less clients. That's the typical close rate for gyms in South Florida that can't sustain. They have in the 80 range of clientele if they didn't manage their money well, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you close. What happens to those 80 heads?
You need someplace to go.
Yeah, dog. They need to go somewhere.
So they go to the cream.
Bro, yes. So now what we've seen years and years and years, there's been many people that have come to the doors of Soul. Like, we don't charge the most in Miami, but we're really close to like what we charge for our services. And there's like avid longtime CrossFitters that have come through and been like, yo, how much do you charge? And we're like, here's how much we charge. And they're like, nah, I can get it for cheaper. And I'm like, all right, peace. And then that gym closes. And then they come by, yo, how much you charge me now? And I'm like, actually, more, dickhead. And they're like, nah, not going to pay for it. I'm like, all right, bounce. Then they go somewhere else, and they go to that gym. And then the 18-year-old coach doesn't open at 6 a.m., and they get disgruntled, and they bounce. And then they come back to Soul. So we've had people that, like, several years in, they do the circuit, and they end up showing up. They're like, all right. You've been open for 10 years. I am secure that my gym is not going to close. And I'm like, yeah, bro. You should have been here 10 years ago. I've been telling you that, So like, the free market concept has led to some of us being very successful, and we all have our different brands and our different ways of doing things.
It makes sense now. Like I was going to ask you like some weird question before, but it makes sense now because you are proof of his ideology, his cream or to the top ideology. So if that's the case, then it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine. I mean,
agree.
now and maybe maybe in 2-3 years I might like, no, that's not it. It should
Yeah,
be.
bro.
But it sounds like, you know, it's working out.
Yeah.
Now, what I think is that, you know, maybe some type of framework that everybody could follow, at least,
Yeah.
and like in the core. Not like around, but like in the core.
So that does exist in the CrossFit Level 1. That is the core. The original CrossFit Journal articles that Greg Glassman himself wrote in his original seminars and his all of that stuff. The
Did you
CrossFit
go to
Level
any of
1,
those?
Yes.
Okay.
All of that
I mean,
stuff.
with him, like.
Yes.
Okay, good.
That
good.
is the core of CrossFit, is what he said in those days from that era of like 2007 to 2010 or 11. That is the core. And it's our responsibility
To follow
as
the
gym
core.
owners to tap into it and follow the core. Now, the second we start veering from that plan, we're at risk to, you know, potentially being successful or not. You know, a lot of gyms do things like add Krav Maga and yoga and spinning classes and a bunch of shit. And for some people, it's very successful, and for some people, there's not. But he has had opinions on all of those things for a long time. And, dude, he's just like everybody else. He's not always right about
Right, you make
everything
mistakes
either.
and like.
Yeah. And just like you said, like your opinions could change in 5 years.
Right.
Homies could as well, as have mine many times. You know?
What has been successful for you as an owner of a box?
So,
you know, like, for those who are listening that are like, you know, starting, you know, as owners and stuff, like ideas that could help them.
So I think it depends on how you define success as well. Because for some people, like, I think it's very easy to just say like what has made someone financially successful, and if that is someone's number one goal, then I just think that there's a different way to measure success. Like my quality of life for me is personally, and like the people around me and my crew and my team, like that is how I envision success. Like everybody eating well, everybody happy, like a positive atmosphere.
Like for this question, success will be to have people in the box every single day and growing constantly, and people looking at what you're doing and saying, this is working for me. Yeah. This is good. So what are the I guess the
so there's probably
the recipe.
there's probably two major things, but the first one I would say is like the team that I have surrounded myself with is the most important thing.
From the trainers to the
bro. Like first of all, my brother is the general manager of my gym.
you was telling me
and
about,
he, with the exception of coaching that and he can coach and he has a little bit, but. He honestly, he'd probably be one of the best, most personable coaches our gym has ever had. But that dude fucking does everything in my gym. Like he could, and he does run it. He could run it without me. So like putting together a team of someone like that, Sean Velas, who is very good friends with Tiffany Chin as well. One of my best friends, Luis Lopez, and just like everyone else that surrounds that team, that is really what has made us successful, because putting a good team around me has given me the opportunity to come do things like this, to go do things like I worked for CrossFit HQ for 4 years teaching the CrossFit weightlifting seminar. I worked for the company that bought Wadapalooza now. I've been able to take on other jobs and other projects that have elevated my gym and given us more credibility. Nice. So putting a team around me that can operate my gym in my absence and still like keep our brand alive and keep it moving forward is a huge thing, number one. So it's all about my team and who we have chosen
the
to
organization, all that stuff.
Yes,
and,
bro.
right.
I wouldn't be dusted if it was me by myself.
And what is
There's
the
no
second thing
fucking-
then? What is the second thing?
The second thing is like in the kind of crazy world of CrossFit where a lot of gyms are the same, we like insisted on standing out and we insisted on doing shit different. So much so that it was the wrong decision many times. Like all these dudes are doing that. Well, fuck that. Our workouts are going to look like this, or our branding's going to look like this, or, whatever it is. But yeah, like insisting on creating our own brand and carving a niche out for ourselves. Like when you walk in a Soul, you definitely feel like you're at Soul. My gym and my business almost feels more like a record store or like a tattoo shop or something like that way more than a CrossFit gym. And that was by design because my brother and I built it so we and our homies could hang out there all day. There's someone sitting behind me right now, John McHale.
John, hey John.
John,
What's up, John?
yo, we have to fucking kick him out of the gym sometimes because he's in there for too many hours. Like the average time homies spend at our gym is an entire day. Like that is the quote unquote community and the vibe that we have built at our gym. And some people come in and they don't like it and we're okay with it. You know, but it definitely feels like a clubhouse. It feels like this. You know, this is what we do in our gym all day long. So it's and it sounds so corny to say it's way more than a gym, but it is, bro, because people hang out there all day.
But it has to work. That's kind of like...
So we play the music that we like. We do things how we want. We talk to clients how we talk. The same way I'm talking to you is how I'm going to talk to someone if I'm teaching a class at the gym. Because we don't have uniforms and we don't like adhere to some of like the rules that a lot of the quote unquote big box CrossFit gyms do, just because it's not genuine for us. And the most important thing is like, I'm happy and I'm stoked to go to work. So like the people that I see, I have to trust and love them. Mm-hmm. And then the vibe of my gym just has to be dope because that's how I'm going to thrive in that environment, you know?
Yeah, and if you had Glassman and CrossFit telling you exactly what to do to wear a certain uniform, you wouldn't have the flexibility to be able to do that.
And Glassman wouldn't.
He's
not that kind of guy. But look, bro, I'm not going to speak poorly about those like quote unquote big box CrossFit gyms because they do exist.
It works for them. And those clients you're gonna
some of those people are very successful, for their own right. But that's like their way. Right. Just because we do CrossFit does not really mean we have a lot more in common outside of that. And that's why we insist on running our business how we want. Because the quality of life and me enjoying my gym is way more important than anything else.
Yeah, it taps into that community, social aspect of it.
Yeah,
kind of build a brand that matches your clientele, which is coming from you and your team.
Yeah. Like, dude, you could take all the road gear out of my gym and all the assault bikes and everything out, and you could replace it with tattoo stations, and it's going to feel the same. Or you could replace it with sneakers and skateboards and a bunch of dope apparel, or you could replace it with records or any of that shit that I like, and it's going to feel the exact same way. My gym is going to look the exact same way if there's a stack of records and a band playing in the back, or if there's fucking people working out.
We could do a pop-up over there.
Yo, let's do it, man.
We could drink champs there.
Dude, we could. Yo, we've had shows at our gym. We've had art shows. Like, we do shit that we enjoy and we like.
Do you have like a sales counter? And then, with like a bunch of records, and like a tattoo.
So we don't, but we do have a sales counter with a bunch of apparel and stuff. Stuff that like we sell for the gym, bro. But
nice.
That was always like our mission, like just to have a place where we could kick it.
Danny, what's your long-term kind of goal when it comes to CrossFit?
Yeah. So
in general, I'm not gonna say your business itself, but like in general, you the person, because like we were talking before, and you now, and you said it, you're part of the Waterpalooza and all that stuff, training, all that stuff. What's your goal? Like, like how do you see yourself in a couple of years?
My goal in regards to CrossFit and not like it's not me, it's my gym, and I talk about my team a lot. Right. That is what makes me who I am, and that's what makes us who we are.
Right.
But I envision like our team leaving a long-standing mark on the training style and the brand of CrossFit. So like you guys make a joke about legends and you guys talk about it all the time on Drink Champs. So like that's what we aspire to be in the world of training in the world of CrossFit. Legend.
Danny OG song.
That. And then like, have you seen that West Side Barbell documentary on Netflix?
Yeah.
So like that is my kind of secret OG like dream of one day is to have a CrossFit gym that's like Louis Simmons' West Side Barbell. Wow. Like my own spot where I go and that shit's open when I go and people go to train with me when I want and be around me training and me coach them and I have the key and some homies have the key. Just a dope little chill spot. Like that's like I want to be able to retire into that and like have that be self-funded and run the gym. And
I see it happening. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it.
That's what I want.
Because you know what? And I'm gonna go off the of the talking about, CrossFit and all that stuff and being all that. But you have a lot of positive vibes, man. Like,
Thank you.
Like the way you speak and the way, you're so enthusiastic about CrossFit and all that stuff, man. It kind of like, it's addictive, bro. It's like, I have to stay away from you because next thing you know, I want to open, like, my own, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, what's up, bro? Stay away, man.
Naked, bro. He's not bro.
No, it's not. Come on, get the hell out. But it's like, I want to open my own place and I want to be like, dad and do this and do that. But, like I see it, man. And it sounds like really good, the whole idea of the future of you doing CrossFit. But now let's go into CrossFit. How do you see CrossFit in general? Not Danny, no, in general, CrossFit. Because we were saying before that to me, CrossFit is growing more and more and more.
Yeah.
Because I'm Dominican and I speak to a couple of friends from the Dominican Republic.
Gyms opening down there.
They're like gym opening down there, and people going and all that stuff and doing this and doing that. And then now with this new setup of the CrossFit Games, that people are from different countries are able to compete and to come in like to represent their country.
The national champions.
Right, national champion or whatever. And it's like, to me, it's making it bigger and it's growing fast.
Yeah.
But I'm not an owner. I'm not like right there where you at, in the sense that you can see everything that is happening with CrossFit. But how do you see it?
So CrossFit right now is in a very interesting and unique position where it grew at a rapid rate, like I said before, from like 2012 to 2016 at a very rapid rate. And it was like showing up in sports authorities and like big box retailers and people like, I used to have to explain to everyone what I did for a living back then. Now it's like, oh yeah, you do CrossFit, whatever. Like it's part of our vernacular. Like it's people can identify
understand
what CrossFit is
what
without
it is. Yeah.
explaining it to them. Yeah. And I've had the opportunity, like I said, I worked for CrossFit HQ and for the weightlifting seminar staff on the Latin American team. So I have been to every major country in all of Central and South America, teaching CrossFit weightlifting seminars, and then in the later years, my own team soul training seminars all over Latin America. So right now, in a continent like Latin America, in South America, in parts of Europe, CrossFit is growing tremendously. And a lot of CrossFit's resources are being focused on some of those markets because they're emerging. And bro, the United States have kind of like tapered off.
Saturated.
Yes, it absolutely has. So they're in a unique position because they've made a lot of the changes that you've just mentioned.
Okay.
And people are kind of like waiting and sitting back and kind of withholding their opinions on things because the changes have been very drastic to the competition side of CrossFit that we don't know how it's going to grow.
Got it.
And I'm kind of in the same boat, to be totally honest with you. Okay. I'm not going to be like a company guy.
No, exactly. Right. No.
It's kind of fucking weird.
Honesty
to be honest
is the best. Is the best. But you know what? And I know I told a lot of people about this, and when people ask me, just like you before, when they used to ask me about what are you doing in CrossFit, and they were like, they didn't know an idea, but now they know.
Yeah.
That to me, CrossFit, and it's like one of the most open sports out there.
Yeah.
Because you can come from like being a no one, but you actually, practice as in the Dominican Republic, and then you went to the CrossFit game, and now you're competing against, top athletes, and you are able to destroy them, and now you are household name.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen in many
many
of
other
those sports.
Correct.
So to me, CrossFit's still open in that manner. That if like you said before to Boris, if you want to go to the CrossFit game, you have to like work out a certain way and you have to do certain things. So if a person has the abilities, has the time, and wants to do it, and I hope he has the finance, to do it.
You're coming from Dominican Republic.
Yeah,
CrossFit
exactly.
Games, you got to have some bread,
exactly. Then you might be able to do something with it. You know.
Yeah, like in the NBA, you're not going to walk on to the Miami Heat and play against
you can't.
some of the best players in the league.
Exactly.
But in CrossFit, yeah, you're right. It is very open. And like Matt Fraser's trained at my gym. And you could walk in and see someone like that any day of the week at my gym. and it is very open in regards to that. What people do need to understand though is there's two different things happening in CrossFit. There's the CrossFit training methodology, and there's the affiliates and gyms and CrossFit for the 99% people like my mom and dad, like not super elite CrossFit, like household. Yeah. Honestly, everyone in this room, myself included, I am not going to the CrossFit Games, and I don't train like that. Not anymore. I don't have any aspirations to go compete on that level, and I never really have had it in me to compete on that level, not in CrossFit.
I had it before, but not anymore.
And then there's the CrossFit as a sport, which is very different than
The competition.
everything else. The competition is the 0.1%, and everything else is really what makes CrossFit special and important. You know, some of us like to dip our toes into the competition stuff, but really, like, if you walk into, like, your guys' gym, if you walk into Revival, what's the first morning class at Revival? 6 a.m. probably.
Six.
Okay, so if you walked into the 6 a.m. class and you walked around and you said, hey, have you heard of Annie Thor's daughter? Or, hey, did you know Sam Briggs' Fran time? Or did you see what Matt Fraser clean and jerk? They're going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? So there's like two kind of mechanisms and opposing forces in CrossFit. And that guy, Greg Glassman, acknowledged that, and that's why he made the changes that he did. Because a lot of people felt like the emphasis on the competition side was too big of a focus of CrossFit and was taking away from that, which, bro, I'm a competitive coach. I've competed myself. We've been very successful in competition, and yet I still understand that, because when you show your mom the CrossFit Games and she watches the CrossFit Games, she's like, what? I can't do that shit. I'm not going to go to the gym with you. But you know your old lady could go to a CrossFit gym.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So the CrossFit is now trying to split apart the two and help people understand that there's like the competitive aspect of CrossFit, but there's also this whole other thing, which is arguably more important and changing more lives.
And they showed it in the last, because they had, well, I was watching it on the computer, but they had like different stories of people that started CrossFit and they lost this much weight, or they had this type of illnesses and they started working out and all kinds of stuff. So I guess they are actually doing that.
If you look at CrossFit.com since last January 1st, they have not spoke about or mentioned anything about the CrossFit Games on CrossFit.com since last January, when they made all those changes. So if you look at CrossFit.com, the workout of the day, every day, they kip less. There's less kipping. There's less Olympic weightlifting. There's less aggressive workouts. It's a lot of strict movements. It's a lot of core. It's a lot of L-sits. It's a lot of strict gymnastics, a lot slower movement. And most of the videos are videos of viejos doing bent over rows with water jugs.
And people that are overweight or whatever.
Yeah, learning how to move better and do squats.
Losing weight and all that stuff. Yeah,
correct.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So you're not going to see a trace of Matt Fraser's Fran time on CrossFit.com anymore. Not for now.
Yeah. And from my perspective, that's interesting, because you kind of get into this bubble, I guess, where you realize the difference of the two. Mm-hmm. And when I'm looking at it as more as since you kind of have like one foot on the competitive side, because it's interesting, and for me that's something that it's relatable.
Yeah,
you know, it's just
it is for you now, right? Because now you're in it. But from day one, was it relatable?
From day one, it definitely wasn't relatable. Yeah. No, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. As far as that, like as far as like let's say on the main site, let's say you see or on social media or whatever, you see CrossFit kind of pushing that, and like I notice it now that you mention it. Yeah. But to me, it was just always part of that. That was those things were intertwined. But I didn't notice the separation that was happening.
So now they feel like that separation is important. Like, if you're in it, you can recognize that there's kind of both worlds, and someone like you who's like smart enough to identify that and be like, oh yeah, there's like CrossFit for my mom, and then there's CrossFit for Ray Fernandez and Todd Smith. I get it. Like, my mom's not going to come in here and do the crazy shit those guys walking on their hands and doing muscle ups. Like, ain't nobody ever going to do that. Like, it's for a very special kind of people, but that's cool.
Right. But what I would say is like, okay, well, he's doing that, but this person who's just starting is doing the same thing. It's just a modified version.
Correct. But there was the opinion of many that when someone like your mom would walk into a gym like mine and would hear whatever music playing and would see Todd Smith and Ray Fernandez walking on their hands, your mom would walk in and go,
Nope.
what the fuck is that? I thought
not
this
doing
was
that.
a gym. What is this? And then there's like a little sales guy behind the counter going, no. Trust me. And she's like, I don't care what you have to say, because I just saw these guys with abs coming out of their foreheads walking on their hands.
That's
I
Todd.
don't belong there.
Todd, I think, has like 18.
Yeah,
Pretty
dog.
much, yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so if it is this gym, right?
Yes.
And that's I guess from my perspective, that's what I would see is you have a beast like Todd,
Yeah.
and then at the same time,
My mom.
a 55-year-old,
Yeah.
who's modifying things but
Yes.
still getting it.
Hell yeah.
So-
and that's how it should be, bro. That's exactly how it should be. And look, we've always done a very good job at like having two different communities, but yet still bringing them together.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what has made us successful. I didn't need Greg Glassman to blow up the CrossFit Games format like he did last year or a year and a half ago. Because my gym, I already acknowledged that both of those populations are very important. And I've already, in my opinion, we have figured out the magic of how to make them work together.
Right.
But many gyms were not.
Yeah,
Many
okay.
gyms were like seeing all the competition shit and feeding into that and making people like my mom do absurd shit
Okay, gotcha.
and getting hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Okay.
going to sit in front. CrossFit hurt mad heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to become a gym that people were thinking that the way to do CrossFit was the bullshit they were seeing at the CrossFit Games, and we're making someone like my mom do that silly shit.
Like EFN and myself, Eric, and that we that are in the 40 plus, we have a saying, and the saying is basically it's not that serious. When we see those RX things and all of that stuff, right? We always say it's not that serious.
It's not, bro.
It's not like I'm 49 right now.
Dog, and
Drinking beer, man.
for all
No.
the listeners, he just
Freaking wanted that.
spilled beer.
What did you want, bro? You want this?
Just the cup.
Yeah, it's still just giving the
Oh,
cup.
man. What the hell, bro? Just take it for the bottle, bro. What you gotta be like?
He was telling me to get the cup, bro.
Cup
What
shit.
the fuck?
Yeah. But
You're right, and here's what's funny, bro.
it's not that serious.
If there's a workout that is as RX and it's like something that's like heavy with high skill gymnastics, and you push to get that RX on the board, dog, to be honest with you, you probably get a better workout not doing the RX because you
sure.
can move way faster.
Yeah.
You could do more reps. You can
Right.
put in more work. Your work quality will be better.
it's the
It'll
target
be
of the
safer.
workout. It's-
Yeah, bro.
And that's one
And
question.
if you
I'll-
put so many like roadblocks of like such heavy weight and so much shit in the way,
Right.
you're not really getting a good workout.
Right,
And
you
sure,
know-
you're gonna get that check mark. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't do anything.
Listen to Danny, man. Listen to Danny because it's actually that's the way it is, man.
So one of the questions I'll ask the coach at times, and it's usually for me, but I think it should be asked more often.
Ivan, what up?
Yeah. Is what's the goal of the workout?
Yes. Like, what's
Because-
the intended stimulus?
Exactly.
Correct.
And then you modify in order for it to fit you, whether
Yeah.
you know or you talk to the coach so that they
Correct.
can help you modify it. And yeah, for sure. And I think what ends up happening sometimes too is that although thank you, coach, for believing in me, sometimes
And pushing me.
I know my limitations a little bit more than you.
Yeah.
So that sometimes, whether it's ego, whether it's maybe the coach just, they have X amount of clients and they know you're a good, athlete, or they know you're whatever, and they just kind of, they're not going to have that exact, they're not going to be completely tuned in to you. So then that expectations kind of increases. So then that ego part kicks in. It's like, okay, well, coach thinks I could do it, so I'm gonna try to do it.
Yeah.
And then you miss the target of whatever the workout is. So my question to the coach would be, what is the intention of the workout? And I know myself, but it's getting to that point, and that just comes from experience. Whereas maybe newer people haven't gotten there, and I think that's that dangerous area where you can hurt yourself.
Yeah, I mean, the job of my team, the job of a coach on that level, in my opinion, is to keep people happy, be what we call be the best part of someone's day, and keep them safe from themselves, bro.
Yeah.
If there's any criticism of my coaching staff, it's that they always err on the side of being conservative in regards to our classes.
Yeah, I think you have.
And there's people who actually like get mad at some of my coaches because they want to push harder. They want to wear the weight vest. They want to RX the workout. They want to do these things, and it's like, bro, you don't know. You can't.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. Looking at the whiteboard or our like Wodify leaderboard for the day and seeing a bunch of RXs, for me, it does nothing. I don't even pay attention to that. I don't look to see how many RXs there are. I don't look to see who has the best times. It really does nothing for me. It doesn't mean anything.
I actually learned that a couple of months ago.
Like, we have a class cap on all of our classes. I want to see all of those classes at or close to capacity. That's what I want to see. I don't give a shit of who is RXing workouts. There's awesome stories that are associated with those things, and seeing someone like my homie John, again, who's behind me, RXing a workout makes me very happy, for sure. And there's like really cool things that happen during the open when you like challenge yourself and push yourself beyond your limits. And you're not going to get better unless you learn how to push. You have to fucking push, for sure, in training. However, it is the job of an average CrossFit coach to keep people motivated yet safe. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And for the record, Ivan, you're good to go, bro.
I know Ivan's good to go.
You know what is it took me, and I'm being honest, it took me maybe like a year or two to actually get to the point that, like I said before, it's like not that serious, like saying that to myself.
Yeah, bro.
After like my shoulder was messed up, freaking golfer's elbow.
Yeah.
This freaking thing that is not going away.
Tendinitis.
You know, and it's like, you know, me trying to push it to the extreme.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that I'm not going to freaking CrossFit game, just scale it down.
not that
So I'm
serious,
trying,
bro.
exactly, that's serious. So I'm trying to like scale it down every time, and I've been feeling better.
Bro, you will work out harder.
Exactly.
If you
And
use a lighter kettlebell, you will do the reps faster.
Yeah.
If you do strict pull-ups instead of kipping, your shoulder will be safe and your movement quality will be better. If you use the lighter bar for the clean and jerk. Look, Fran, 21:59 thrusters and pull-ups. I don't even know like the world record time anymore, but it's somewhere in like the 1:27
Really?
range.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What?
Yes. Somewhere in like the
No, you're kidding me, right?
No, I swear, two guys. Yeah.
damn.
For years, it was like
Between 2 and 3.
no. For years, this guy Jason Kaplan, not from here, not the chiropractor Jason Kaplan. But was a well-known CrossFitter, and he did it in like 1:58 or something like that.
Whoa.
That was a world record for a long time. People have smashed that. It's about 1:30, right? Now, that is not the intended stimulus, really, but the intended stimulus of Fran. Like, if you've done Fran RX, you know what Fran feels like.
It's terrible.
Okay, and it is supposed to feel like that. So, like, what's your name again?
Boris.
So if we gave Boris like thrusters and pull-ups at, thrusters and 95 pounds, and we made him do pull-ups, he could probably finish it. Jumping pull-ups or something like that with the thrusters, and it may take you 20 minutes. That is not the intended stimulus of Fran.
Right.
The same way you feel when you do a 4.5 minute Fran is the same way Boris should after doing his 6-minute Fran. And if he's not feeling like that, coach fucked up. And coach should not have let him do the thrusters that heavy. Yeah. And coach should not have let him do whatever scale or progression of pull-up that was so hard for him.
Right.
You should be able to move. We don't expect you to do Fran in 1:30. But I do expect you to do your version of Fran in under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you are taking too long to do Fran, if you're taking 10 minutes, you're taking 15 minutes, coach fucked up.
And therein lies the difficulty of coaching.
Yes.
And that's the rub of a good coach.
Yeah.
And I think what happens a lot is coaches get their L1 and then they get comfortable, and then that's kind of where they plateau, and they don't continue to try to learn those nuances, because that right there is that's everything in coaching.
Well, what
For
you
me.
said is the complete opposite of. So I agree. We didn't do that. We didn't do the level 1 only. We expanded our knowledge, like you just recommended, tremendously, and that's what framed our brand now. Like, it's not. We didn't. Dog, you walk into our gym and it doesn't say CrossFit Soul on it. It says Team Soul. Like, we have taken the CrossFit brand and we've taken other things and we've created our own training model and our system. You know, it's very much like CrossFit, but we don't do everything they do in the CrossFit level 1. We don't do sumo deadlift high pulls at my gym. We don't do med ball cleans.
No?
No, we don't teach med ball cleans as part of our fundamentals. I don't think it's that important of an exercise. I think it's kind of a waste of time. I think for sumo deadlift high pulls, they bother a lot of people's elbows and give people a lot of tendonitis. I think it's
Tell me about it.
I think it's a silly exercise. The timing that the bar touches the floor can lead to a hip shift, and I do have opinions on the way CrossFit teaches things, and I just choose to do it differently. Greg Glassman fucking said I could. He's like, here's the blueprint. Here's the template I think works
what
best.
the fuck you want.
Go fucking figure it out. Just keep paying me my bread. And thank you, Mr. Glassman. I'm going to take 99.99% of these things. I'm going to do it my way. Sure. And what they're doing on CrossFit.com now is honestly what we've been doing since the beginning. We don't let people kip at our gym until they learn how to move strict. Yeah. We don't teach you kipping pull-ups until you know how to do strict pull-ups. Yeah. We don't even teach you
that's a
muscle up progression
common
until
thing, though. That's something that
now it is.
Okay.
But dog, that's very new now. You used to walk into CrossFit gyms and seeing people who can barely hold the top of a plank attempting handstand push-ups with 6 fucking ab mats under their head.
That's what they get
Dog,
hurt.
what's the point of that? Your range of motion is 1/4 of an inch. You feel cool like you're upside down on your hands, but you're really doing nothing. You get so much more out of doing a push-up. Yeah. You would get more out of sitting and doing a full range of motion shoulder press. Right. But you want to look cool and you want to get the RX, so you're going to flip your freaking self upside down and try to do handstand push-ups on 14 ab mats, and you're doing nothing.
I talked a little bit about the ego of the athlete, but do you think sometimes it's the ego of the coach?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a combination of both, bro. A lot of times we're checking egos for sure. And
is it in the sense of, this is my athlete, so I want that athlete to do the things that that's kind of what I meant as far as the ego of the coach.
Sometimes, but I think, honestly, bro, sometimes I think it's just like ignorance, dog. You know, they just some of those, and I used to like
ignorance. How
like some of those coaches just don't know better. To be honest,
they don't know.
You,
they don't know their clients. They don't know their clients.
They don't know their clients. But look, they look at the CrossFit Games and they think that that's the goal, and they think that's the model,
clients. Yeah,
and they want to, show you can do this. Just like Matt Frazier, I can teach you how to kick upside down and pretend to do a handstand push-up. Like, I don't think it's an ego thing always. Sometimes it is for sure. But I do think sometimes it's ignorance. And sometimes too, bro, look, there's CrossFit gyms that have classes that have 35 people in them that are giants.
No, that's...
And dog, when you have that many people, your quality control is going to be shit.
Zero.
And
Zero.
if that's your training model and your methodology is that like get people in, get people out. Very poor client retention.
Like
not a lot of
factory
community
shit.
and not a lot of culture and like the factory style CrossFit gym. Bro, you're going to let people do whatever the fuck they want to get them in and out. So sometimes that's just as a result of the training model. Not a lot of gyms are like mine, and where a client can come in and have the opportunity to be in a class sometimes with 6 people only. Yeah. And every repetition is being watched by your coach.
I know, and reading stuff about you online and all that stuff, I know you train a lot of, athletes, and I'm not going to say the name of the athlete. Do you kind of like, I don't know how to put this question, but do you like screen the athlete before you actually get to train the athlete? I mean, like, do you okay, I'm gonna train Pedro and I'm going to kind of like screen him before and then go from there, or do you start like from zero and all that stuff?
You're talking about me personally?
Yeah, like training when you are training an athlete.
Yeah, so
let's say for the games, because I know you train a lot of athletes for the games.
We have, yeah.
Yeah. How do you do it? Like, do you screen the athlete before?
So it depends. So like you said, the whole national champion thing that's very new. To be honest with you, if you're from a certain country, you have a passport for a certain country now, and you're doing the CrossFit Games Open, it's become much easier to qualify for the CrossFit Games through the national championship route. So we've ended up now with way more. Like this year, I think we're gonna have 7 games athletes that we're gonna coach at the CrossFit Games, and. Whoa. Yeah, we've never had that many individuals.
From different countries, or?
All from different countries.
That they have come to you to actually be trained.
Yeah, so like Nicaragua and Panama and Mexico and India and, all over. 2 from Mexico, bro. All over. Brazil.
I know you have from Mexico.
Brenda Castro.
Right.
Yeah. I've coached people that have won the CrossFit Games. But for the most consistent athlete that I have coached for the most consistent, longest period of time has been Brenda Castro. I coached Brenda Castro like
Since day one?
her very like I'm exaggerating, but like from her very first fucking heavy barbell snatch. Like I've coached her very, very, very early on in her career. So I've developed her. But so to answer your question, it depends. Like if a well-known, very big name CrossFit Games athlete came to me and asked me for help, I would really have to think twice about it, because at a certain level, you're only really risking yourself potentially, because to make someone who's like top 10 in the world, top 3 is really fucking hard. And if an athlete like that makes a switch and starts training with you and doesn't have that level of success because the cards just didn't fall the right way, who's at fault?
You.
Team Soul. Like, bro, of course. And we have experienced that in the past. So I'm not gonna say we would like screen people, but yeah, we, especially with myself, we do have to be selective with who we choose to work with.
What process you used to pick those 7 athletes that you are now training?
I mean, I didn't pick them. I didn't pick those people. To be honest with you, those people, for the most part,
Came
picked
to you?
us. Okay. I mean, you know, hey, I have a goal. This is what I want to do. Do you think I can do it? And I think our biggest source of screening is being brutally honest with people. I have told many people time and time and time again, yo, hang it up. You're not going to be a games athlete. You don't have it in you.
So you have honesty.
You don't have, bro. You don't have the support structure to support you traveling to all of these events. You don't have the paper to get therapy. Like, you have to work 45 hours a week. You got 3 kids. Yo, you ain't gonna go to the CrossFit Games, dog. Just just like love fitness and train hard, and that's cool. But you got to hang it up. I think that's like our biggest.
Being honest.
Yeah, being brutally honest.
So these 7 people that you have, I'm sorry to interrupt you, and
okay.
That's the way I am, like, freaking crazy. But those 7 athletes that you already have went through that screening already.
Yes, because they've sat through our seminars of us being brutally honest with people.
Good.
And
Socrates says screening. I imagine like background checks.
No. I'm sorry, Daddy. You get me.
I don't want anybody to give me a background check. So how the fuck am I gonna make someone else submit a background check? Stay out of my business.
No, but I'm sorry. Maybe there's another correct word to use.
There's an interview in process.
No. You have to like fingerprinting on. But they went through the process of sitting with them and being honest and all that stuff. And you haven't decided that they could do it.
They've survived hanging out in my gym long enough and us talking shit to them long enough, and we've, But
do they still have to go back to their country and actually?
No, bro. Now with the model of the CrossFit Games, if you have a passport from any country, I don't know if that's called citizenship or nationality. If you have a passport, so if you have a passport somewhere, you can represent that country at the CrossFit Games. Oh wow! So there's people, dog. The fittest in quote unquote Costa Rica. You can represent from Peru. You absolutely.
I'm Peruvian American. I got both.
So you can absolutely. The current fittest in Costa Rica lives in fucking like Tamarack and drives to Seoul 4 times a week.
Got it.
The current fittest in Nicaragua lives, I think, or he was from Alapata. He lives somewhere like in the Bird Road area now, I believe, and trains in Seoul. His name's Kerry.
Nice.
Bro, like they're all over. The previous fittest in Venezuela has trained with us for the last 3 years. She lives in Doral. Like,
So we're a little over the hour mark. So there's 2 things that I think, because I think we
not yet. We could talk a couple of more minutes. Don't worry about the time, bro. Yeah. We could go more. Don't worry about it.
2 things.
Go ahead. We could go more.
One, wanted to open this Game of Thrones brown ale. Another thing, could we hear a little bit about John's story?
Yeah, bro. What up, dog?
Is that cool?
Come on, John, man.
If you can go that far.
I don't know if it goes that far. I'll bring it
John.
over here.
Yeah, it does.
I can operate this.
Right. You remember last time they had me on the podcast, I wasn't talking.
Yeah, dude.
About
So we have our own podcast. We kind of gave it a break recently.
You have to invite us, man.
Dude, yeah, for sure.
Cool,
So we're
cool.
gonna start doing it again. We did it for about 3 years. I'll figure it out.
Oh, great, man. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, man.
So while you're doing that, we're gonna pop this. All right.
You can tell them your story.
Whoa. Go ahead, John.
John,
And John was actually telling the story
Motivate me, John.
to Boris. Go
I
ahead.
got really fat eating Mamma Mia pizza over on 137th
I will go to there too.
Yeah. Mamma Mia. I got really fat. Lost the weight. Well, actually, I ran into him in Atlanta. He's like, come to the gym.
How do you guys kind of like hooked up? And
We grew up together in the same
okay.
scene
Okay.
of like punk rock shows and independent music, going to hardcore shows and punk rock shows since we were little kids.
You saw me in Atlanta looking like bummed out, like fat as hell, and just was like, dude, come to the gym. And I was just like, yeah, all right, I'll come to the gym.
How big he was?
Like 400 something pounds.
Oh shit!
Like, I got-
You just started?
I got
That's what we're
the
talking
most
about.
I got it was 310, and I got scared. I was like, yo, I couldn't see my neck.
Yeah, I had like a work injury, and they took me off.
Oh shit!
What do you call it? They put me on light duty, and that is when I didn't realize how active I was working in I worked in a warehouse over here actually off 152nd, and once all of a sudden I had to show up and not do a damn thing, the weight started like creeping on rapidly. Plus eating Mamma Mia every day.
Is off the chain.
Dude, seriously. Yo, shout out to Mamma Mia. Next thing you know, I was just like, and then I had to get the surgeries for this, and then I was just fat and just ran into him in Atlanta. He said it's the way he said he saw me. I don't remember it like this, but he says I look bummed out. It's probably true.
Is that coach's intuition?
He was just like, dude, you look bummed out. Come to the gym.
He was, so I'm going to be brutally honest, unfortunately for you, but he was so bad and he was so injured. He hurt his hand at work and he was so heavy. We were at a show, this band Foundation's last show in Atlanta, and we were standing for like hours at this show and our backs hurt, whatever. And he like wanted to sit down and he couldn't sit down because he was too big. He like had gained too much weight and his like back hurt from being on his feet, and he had to like put his back on the wall and like slide down to sit down because he was so big. And I was like, dog.
It was the hands.
Yeah, he like couldn't put his hands on anything because he had a work injury. He's so bad, dog. And I was like, you need to come to the gym. He's like, can't afford it. I'm like, doesn't matter. Come to the fucking gym. I live too far. Dog, it doesn't matter. Come to the gym. And that was his first time around the gym. He lost 100 pounds or so. But there was like a kind of constant push and pull. John, you shouldn't be eating this. John, you need to like have, it's not, the same thing I was telling you, it's not just about the hour you come to the gym. You need a, dude, he like books big shows, hardcore and punk shows, and that's what he does for a career. And he stays up till fucking 3 a.m. and he is booking shows at Churchill's, and he's out front of Churchill's until 4 in the morning.
Yeah, music is not conducive to.
Hell no. Hell no. No, and we're putting I would like assign interns to his like health journey, and I'm like, yo, intern, check in with me. How's John? Well, he was at Cazola's apparently at fucking 4 a.m. And I'm like, dog, come on.
Yeah, we used
Come
to kill
on.
Cazola.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's the 24 hours.
Yeah, I know.
He goes afterwards.
So his first time around, we actually were together on our way to a show, and we got into a car accident. I got into a terrible car accident, which could have been like fatal.
Bro, this guy posted on the internet, like, this car accident was so bad he forgot I was in the car. I wasn't even like mentioned in the. It's like, me, Hondo, and JP are okay. No mention of me. Like, I'm
It was,
guardrail, like,
bro.
clutching
It
my
was,
guts, man.
it was a traumatic car accident, and he stopped going to the gym at that point. And he
was okay?
yeah, we were all fine. There were a few injuries. He got hurt a little bit. My brother got hurt a little bit, but outside of that, everyone was fine. He disappeared from the gym, and then I saw him again at Churchill's, and he put all the weight back on. And we had to have like a very serious heart-to-heart and talk. And I was like, look, bro, enough is enough. You can come back, but you have to do it our way. And that's it. Otherwise, you can't come to the gym. You're like not welcome to come and train if you're not going to do it our way. We will help you, but you have to do it our way. And it's funny, like we started talking about like my experiences in recovery and how that like got me into where I am. And that's the same conversation I would have with a homie like him. And he did it, and now he's lost almost 200 pounds in a fucking year.
Yo.
Damn.
Yeah, what's up? In a year.
God, man.
And now he's a fucking sex symbol.
Hey! Hi, my name is John.
Stick that fool on
Yeah,
Instagram.
that's good, man.
That's awesome.
That's great, man. And we proud of you, man. And I hope you not only for yourself, but with people like Boris. With Boris, that look at you as an example and an inspiration, man.
Yeah.
And you should be out there, talking to people about this, because there's a lot of people that are listening, and I hope listening to our podcast and listening to your story, and that they should actually do the same. They should actually, have a heart-to-heart talk, really like that down-to-earth talk, and then say, you know what, I got to do this, and this is the way I have to do it, and and I hope that Boris, my brother Boris, can the Inca Warrior can do this, man.
What's the approach that you gave him though? Like, being that it's gonna be so difficult, like for him in the beginning to do stuff. Like, what's the approach? Like, how do you keep him motivated?
So, for me, like we were talking about previously, the approach is all about like it's what you do out of the gym, not necessarily what you do in the gym. And another thing too, like John at a time was very hesitant to participate in CrossFit classes. He thought he was like,
It's like embarrassing.
Yes, for sure. And look, like the culture, our background and our culture is very similar to yours, almost the same, and in some ways is the same exact one. And for people like us to come into a setting like a CrossFit gym where like you're used to being like the guy at shows and the guy who runs a label and the guy who puts records out, and like you speak from such an educated position on so much of the shit you're into, to be so vulnerable and to go into the CrossFit gym where you don't know shit and you're actually going to be like the new guy in the room. For people like all of us, myself included, you got to really check your ego to do that. Yeah, bro. And you don't do that. I don't fucking do that any time in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I check myself when I go to the gym.
Correct.
They know.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, I'm a bitch, guys. I'm a bitch.
Yeah, but how many of your homies do you know that have an aggressive personality that would never check their ego enough to go in the back? They couldn't. Dude, and that is my story with so many of my friends. So what we've talked about a lot is it's about everything else. It's about your sleep. It's about your water. It's about your food. It's about your sodium intake. It's about every other decision. And just keep going to the gym. But emphasize all that other shit way more than just the gym. Because if you're going out every night, it's not going to even out, bro. You spend way more time outside of the gym, and you could either help what you're doing in the gym or really fuck it up. And that was like the whole conversation. And like many things in my life, it's very black and white, and it's very hard line. Either do this or don't do it. And if you ain't going to do it, get the fuck out of my face.
And aside from those fundamentals, I think something I picked up is that you got to hire an intern to follow him.
Yo, shout out to Maddie.
And Frank from the beginning.
And Emin.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we would like the kids that we had up and coming that were trying to intern at our gym, the best experience. It's like, guess what? Here's John. Peace. Figure it out. And they're like, what do I do with him? And I'm like, I don't know, but he's got to lose weight and he got to keep coming. So it's on your little ass to make sure he stays.
I just imagine them like following you.
They just had to wrangle me because I'm kind of a madman. So like they pretty much had to just like.
Would they follow you in a car?
Or
like,
was it somewhere else?
No, it was at the gym. So like he would come in and at first he's like, I'm not gonna do a class, and I'm like, you gotta do a class. He'd be like, I'm not gonna do a class, and I was like, okay, I'll compromise. Here's what we'll do. My intern will do personal training sessions with you for 4 months, privates, 3 times a week, and the other 2 times you come, you're gonna do your own workout. Got it? Okay, deal. After those 4 months, you got to give me 1 class a week. So 2 sessions with him or her and 1 class a week. Okay, deal. 2 months after that, 1 session with the intern and 3 classes a week. Wow. And every time we would fight about it. Every single time he'd be like, nah, I got to show at Churchill's. I'd be like, fuck you. You need to be taking a class.
He's doing that.
Yeah.
I wound up in classes 5 days a week, but on my own accord.
Yes, now. But it was a fight.
But then I got into a car accident. My fault. Had a car come at me like monster truck style over the guardrail. But so that kind of like threw my game
Not
off.
Monster Energy, just
like straight up, like I look over and I see a car's undercarriage wrecked me. But like unlike the last time, I didn't let it like slow me down. Well, for a second, I had to kind of like I had to take a break from everything just to kind of figure out like I'd acquired some injuries, and now I had to like kind of okay, I can't do that or that anymore because now I have this going on. So I had to like kind of remodify everything I was doing, and I found like my groove of what I can do now since this whole new list of injuries. Right. Don't look at injury magnet. It's like,
I mean, look, have you Boris? Hey, Mr. Typolo.
Boris.
Have you told him your injuries?
My injury?
Yeah, because one of his thing is that he's injured.
I got surgery in my hips.
So that's one of his he's like, oh, but I can't because I can't.
No, I don't want. I had to tell me don't lift too much weight. That's why I have to lose weight, so I don't put too much weight on my hips.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So but I'm trying my best.
So I think like for someone like you, the emphasis needs to be good movement quality. I wouldn't say it's not as much about the weight that you put on. It's like quality of movement. So emphasize that always 100%. Dude, look, before doing CrossFit, I had 2 knee surgeries. I have 3 herniated discs. Wow. I have a lot of injuries as well. And to be clear, John's injuries are from car accidents and fucking weird life working in warehouses.
Before my surgery shit.
What I told him is that he works with me closely, and we're in the music environment, which you would understand. We're like drinking, and we're out late nights, and it's really bad.
Hip hop's way worse than hardcore shows.
I don't book a whole lot of hardcore shows
anymore.
I get a lot of stuff trying to be pushed on me, and
but what I told him is I was like, look, man, like my whole thing is just go out there and do something because it's not about like losing weight is cool. It's gonna be the byproduct.
Yeah.
But I want his heart to be able to sustain his weight no matter what.
Yeah, of course.
So, you know what I'm saying? All day you see people just dropping dead because their heart just...
Bro, at 35 years old, dude. You never know,
that's
man.
what I was telling him. I was like, just go out there and just start moving.
Yeah.
Because he's not moving. He was being sedentary, whatever. So I was like, yo, just go out there and start moving.
No, it's true.
And I knew he would get addicted
so
to
I'll
it.
be sitting down a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like...
And he's a young dude. Like, there's no reason for him not to be moving around.
Bro, but like it gives you a purpose. Sometimes it gives you like a reason to get up in the morning, and it gives you a reason to get going.
That's what
and in my opinion, if you want to be successful at anything, even if it's like I want to smoke more trees than anyone, like whatever it is,
That's definitely what he wants.
Whatever makes, however you define success, you have to make that shit a priority. Right. So like that's what I tell everyone. Like, if you want fitness to, if your definition of success has something to do with fitness, it has like your kids, your work, your music, and fitness. You got to figure out a way to keep all the balls in the air. And if your production starts to eclipse the amount of fitness that you do, you're fucking up.
That's the fucking
because
bottom line.
what is going to keep you balanced is that whole picture. It's not just production.
He's doing it. I mean,
it's not just, he's doing what I'm saying?
He's doing the bottom line.
So like, it has to be as equal importance. Like, if you're gonna write music, you're gonna produce something, or you're gonna record, whatever production means to you, you need to make sure you're doing just as much fitness.
And that's the
otherwise
bottom line.
You're gonna lose that shit.
That's the bottom line. We're gonna close it up with the bottom line, and I think Danny, kind of got me, set the bottom line for me. And the bottom line is, family.
Hell yeah.
Family. Work.
Well, whatever your
health,
priorities are.
Exactly. Fitness, and then fitness. You have to bottle everything into it.
Yeah.
And make it, part of your life, man.
And look, it's not on some judgmental shit, because I was talking to my mom's today. She was asking me about like old friends we grew up with and how's so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, so-and-so is a weirdo. And she's like, really? Why? That's so sad. And I'm like, you know what? I used to think it was sad too, but you know what? He's happy like that. So fuck it, dude. Happy weirdo. Yeah, happy weirdo, dude. Yeah. Not everyone needs to be training, and that's like that's successful for me. It's what I enjoy, but like, just don't hurt people, bro.
Listen to that.
Listen, dog.
No,
don't be a dick. Just put that on a shirt. Don't be a dickhead.
Yo, Danny. Danny OG from Seoul, thank you very much, man. I hope this has got to happen again, man. No, this has got to happen again, bro. It's like, so much.
We'll do his show too.
We will,
man, this is going to happen
to his gym.
Yeah, we should.
We should show up.
Bring Art to film it all.
That's right, we should. All of us should go in, and go in and work out with Danny, man. And thank you and that's so informative, bro. This show is like a freaking class, bro. What the hell is that? I thought it was gonna be like fun and drinking.
A mental what?
Man, what the hell, bro? Danny, thanks again,
you, bro. I
man.
appreciate
Thanks
it.
again, and my brother John. Thanks again. Keep it up, man. Boris, look
it
up.
up.
All right, all right, all right. Thank you very much, and you have a good night.
All right.
You know.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.